Bisexuality. 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 As a bisexual woman on Eckerd College's campus, today's topic is very near and dear to my heart. For my research paper, I wrote about the topic of bisexuality, specifically bisexual erasure. I wanted to tell the story of bisexuality, especially on Eckerd's campus, but painting something, drawing something, singing a song didn't really seem like it would encapsulate all of the unique viewpoints that happen here on a daily basis. Although we're pretty limited in our demographics on campus, and although it is definitely true that different members of the bisexual community experience privileges that other members do not, we can't ignore the fact that bisexual women as a whole are often discriminated against. With that being said, I think that the best way to demonstrate this, to tell the story of bisexuality on Eckerd's campus, is through the lens of 3 upperclassmen who have been here from the very beginning of their college careers. They've been here before COVID began and experienced some of the party culture and, more often than not, some of the microaggressions that come along with being bisexual. I hope that you enjoy their stories. To give some context, let's begin with how these women define bisexuality and, in turn, see themselves as bisexual individuals.
I define bisexuality as anything but straight.
I'm attracted to men and women and everything that falls in between those 2 words.
Gender in my sexuality was first men and then possibly women. And then I realized there were people who were not on the gender spectrum, did not conform to the gender binary.
I mean,
I didn't even necessarily know bisexuality was a thing before I came to Eckerd, before I came to college.
All of my life up until that point, I was just into men that I knew of. So at this point, it was more like, oh, I'm also into women, and I'm just now getting to dip my toes into what that means.
Sexuality is a spectrum, and not everyone is 100% one thing or the other thing. So I feel like maybe everyone's bisexual.
It's pretty evident that bisexuality has many different definitions and sometimes can appear a bit vague. However, each of these women's experiences demonstrates to us that bisexuality definitely isn't seen as something that one can immediately feel comfortable coming out as. As a result, many of these women assumed at first that they were either completely gay or that they might be straight and confused. And a lot of this is due to the fact that there's a phenomenon very prevalent in society called bisexual erasure, or the societal processes in which bisexuality is erased or ignored in popular culture. This has very real effects on people's self-esteem and feelings of sexual satisfaction in their day-to-day lives.
Bisexual erasure is denying the fact that there are people who are living immensely fluid sexual lives.
The idea that they're eventually going to settle for either being straight or being gay. They're eventually going to discover which one it is that they really are. And it's also the lack of recognition that just because someone is in a straight relationship doesn't mean that they're not also bisexual.
I don't like prying questions. I don't want to answer, oh, why do you feel like that? How do you know? Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Are you sure you're straight? I could turn it back on you.
I feel that so often from a community that I love. It's so frustrating because I feel like I have to prove myself and explain myself when I say that I'm bisexual.
Although this might seem like an innocuous problem, bisexual erasure can contribute both decreased self-esteem. It can also lead to something that author Nikki Hayfield describes as double discrimination, or the feeling of not quite fitting into either the straight or the LGBTQ community. So, not feeling straight enough and also not feeling queer enough. It leads many people, women in particular, to feel the need to prove themselves as being both queer enough and straight enough. In most cases, this is why bisexual women are among the highest percentage of a marginalized sexuality group most likely to be sexually assaulted, violated, or harassed.
I feel like it's always felt very fetishized and very hypersexualized. even when it's something as innocent as like a kiss, a peck.
I did notice that, so it was hard as someone coming into the bisexuality to have to pin and pull apart the women who could be potential partners and the women who were kind of using the fact that I would be interested in having a little bit of flirty fun for someone else's entertainment.
But in some cases, like if you don't want to be fetishized or assaulted or made fun of or whatever, I would tone that down. Like, I don't want to be fetishized, I don't want to be assaulted, what have you. Like, yes, I can protect myself and I will punch someone if I need to, but I don't want to feel like I have to.
It's an insidious problem, and it's one that we all have to work on solving. Even though Eckerd might seem like a safe enough place, we as a community have to work together to make sure that everyone on this campus feels safe, included, and validated in who they are. Bisexuality isn't going anywhere. The bisexuals that you know aren't going to suddenly realize they're straight or realize that they're gay. It's time to stop thinking and spreading misconceptions that we know are outdated and offensive. These misconceptions are not only offensive and hurtful at best, but can lead to partner violence and sexual violence, as well as harassment, murder, and stalking at worst. We have to protect our community. We have to protect those who are the most vulnerable, especially Black bisexual women and people of color who are within this marginalized sexual community. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I'm so glad that I was able to share with you the stories of 3 amazing bisexual women on Eckerd's campus.